Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast on Prince on Podcast Juice. My name is Michael Dean. Joining me today is Mr. Big Sexy and Sack. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing well, recovering slowly but steadily and doing my thing.
All right. Good to hear your voice. And also joining us, Mr. Ant Pooh. Sir, how are you?
Doing good. A great yet busy week, but hey, that's why we work for the weekends.
All right, good to hear it. So we are back again talking about some Prince-related stuff, and boy, this week definitely some breaking news, as they say. I was gonna say something else, but I'm trying to do better, you know. But anyway, Morris Day, and so let me just say, I'm just saying this just off the top. Salute to Morris Day. Absolutely a legend in the purple Prince world and in funk and music history as well. So we salute Morris Day and the time and all that good stuff. But Morris got on social media and dropped the following, and I'm also going to read a little bit here from the Variety article about this. So this is what Morris put on social, and this sort of started everything. So he says, I've given 40 years of my life building up a name and legacy that Prince and I came up with. He wrote this in a social media post. A name that while he was alive, he had no problem with me using. I literally put my blood, sweat, and tears into bringing value to that name. In fact, he booked me on several tours and many jam-packed nights at Paisley Park under the name Morris Day and the Time. Not once ever saying to me that I couldn't use that name configuration. However, now that Prince is no longer with us, suddenly the people who control his multi-million-dollar estate want to rewrite history by taking my name away from me, thus impacting how I feed my family. He says, so as of now, per the Prince estate, I can no longer use Morris Day and the Time in any capacity. Now, let me just jump into this article a little bit, and then we're going to get reactions and all that good stuff. A rep for Prince's estate told Variety on Thursday, quote, given Prince's long-standing history with Morris Day and what the estate thought were amicable discussions, the Prince estate was surprised and disappointed to see his recent post. The estate is open to working proactively with Morris to resolve this matter. However, the information that he shared is not entirely accurate. This article also says, however, a letter from an attorney representing the estate addressed to Day's attorney Richard Jefferson, dated December 13th, 2021, and provided to Variety, does indeed state that Day, quote, has no right to use or register the name The Time in any form, which presumably includes concerts and recordings, and references a 1982 contract in which Day acknowledged that PRN Music Corporation, an entity which at the time was wholly owned by Prince, is the sole and exclusive owner of all rights in and to The Time. The current dispute stems from an attempt by Day to register the name Morris Day and the Time. A rep for Day confirms to Variety. Let me read a little bit more. The letter does impose that the matter be handled amicably and the estate license the name to Day. Quote, rather than file a petition to council, the estate would prefer to discuss this matter with you and resolve it through an agreement that recognizes the estate's rights in the trademark The Time and licenses Mr. Day to use the trademark Morris Day and the Time with the services identified in the existing trademark registration and goods related to such services, such as musical sound recordings and musical video recordings, it states. Somebody's clicking noises.
Oh, sorry.
Presumably, further exchanges ensued without resolution. The article gives a little background to say Day and Prince first met in their early teens and later played together in a band called Grand Central with Day as the drummer. The pair formed The Time in 1980 as a funk-based offshoot group for Prince's prolific songwriting with Day as the frontman, while they recruited top-notch musicians for the band, notably keyboardist Jimmy Jam and bassist Terry Lewis. I'm going to add the great Jesse Johnson, Jelly Bean, and Monty Moore, who would later become and then Jimmy Jam and them would later become one of the most successful production teams in the past 35 years. Yada yada. Salute to those brothers. I'm not downplaying their thing. Yeah, it just goes on to give a little more information that he wants to do Purple Rain and all that kind of stuff. I also found the following from L. Londell McMillan. And this is from the Daily News. This is McMillan.
Oh boy,
here you go. Man, let's put some respect on the brothers' names. They ain't saying nothing yet. You worse than them. I'm just playing with you.
I'm just going by what Jay-Z says.
Okay. McMillan, an entertainment lawyer who once worked with Prince and represents Prince's sisters, Sharon Nelson and Noreen Nelson, and the estate of brother John Nelson, who died September 3rd. The Brooklyn-bred McMillan called the decision, quote, horrible. I support Morris Day, adding the hashtag, quote, let Morris Day use name in a tweet on Thursday. And then there is also a tweet from Sharon Nelson. And for those who don't know, Sharon Nelson is one of the heirs of the estate, right? She tweeted, I don't have it in front of me, but she was saying like, this is not a decision by the heirs, it's by the people who run the estate. And she insinuated that there would be a change coming. I think this is a Sam Cooke song she quoted. So with all of that said, I'm going to go around and the people doing their nails and whatnot during the recording. That's another story. Big Sexy and Sack.
Yo.
Sir, what do you think?
All right. I'm going to get into what I know and what I've learned. Some things I cannot say for public consumption, but we'll go as close as we can go. I, like everyone else, heard about this yesterday. People were emailing me about it. And because I am a proactive cat, I'm like, let's find out what's really going on here. So I contacted Morris Day's booking agent via email and said that I had heard what was going on, and that I had prior dealings with the estate on matters like this.
And let's be clear, just so we don't sound like we're being funny or not being truthful or something. We've sort of got a similar sort of cease and desist.
Exactly.
For this podcast and the name of the podcast.
Yes, we did. The estate had sent out a bunch of letters, like that. We got one. Clearly Morris got one. And how we resolved it was we sat down and we had a dialogue. Mike and I talked it out, decided what we wanted to do and how we wanted to go, and presented our resolution to the estate, and they were cool with it. So it's all good. I don't know how the letter to Morris was phrased. If it was phrased like it was to us, yeah, he's going to be pissed, because they're coming at people very heavy-handed when they don't need to be, especially to him. But having said that, that's a little background. I contacted his booking agent. She called me back within 90 minutes. We talked it out, and she said Morris's team was on it. I said, cool. Didn't want to overstep, but if you need help, give me a call. She said, hey, Mr. Wiggins, no problem, blah, blah, blah. Are you going to be in L.A. next week? I said, no. She said, well, we're doing a private show in L.A. I cannot say where. But if you're in town, I'll introduce you to the band. I said, I'd love that, but I'm just not going to be there. She said later they're going to be up this way later in the year, and we'll get together then. I said, fantastic. Later on that day, because I'm like a cat with a new toy at times, I just want to know what's going on. I contacted Morris's attorney, Richard Jefferson, and he and I talked, and we're going to talk again. I can't get into what we went into, but the bottom line is this. They are having discussions, and we'll see where this goes.
Okay. You have any sort of, again, you're coming from it as a lawyer, and now you're sort of dealing with some of these people, so I don't know how much you want to say in terms of what you think about it. But
I can give you my opinion, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. What's your opinion?
My opinion is they'll work it out. My opinion is they will work it out. Again, using my experience with the estate, when they hit us, I contacted them. I'm like, whoa, let's figure this thing out, because most people they had been going at and I really hate to say it, but fuck it, I'm going to say it. Most people they have been going at are just knuckleheads. And, what we do here, we're serious about it. So we wanted to make sure there weren't any, hard feelings. And so we figured something out. I'm sure Morris and the estate people will figure something out too. I don't think it'll be long in resolving, but I think they'll figure something out. I mean, it'll probably be like a licensing agreement. You can use the name for like $1 a year or something like that. Who knows? But I don't think this is going to get unpleasant. Now, it immediately reminds me of the whole Lady Antebellum, Lady A situation where that got out of hand. And I think that's resolved, though. I think they figured that thing out. I don't think it's going to get that far, but I think it can be worked out.
Interesting. Aunt Pooh, what say you?
I'm two sides on this. One is I'm really conflicted and confused that when you hear Sharon Nelson state that that's an estate and not the heirs, and because it furthers what we've been talking about for the past couple of years of don't the heirs own the estate, and aren't the trustees or the executors of the estate supposed to be working for the heirs' best interests that own the estate? So when I see that, I'm thinking to myself like, how are they making decisions that the heirs aren't clued in, and more so, based on what she's saying, aren't in agreement with? And then moving past that, I get to thinking, there's two sides to every story.
Oh, we lost Aunt Pooh all of a sudden. I don't know what happened, but he'll jump back in. While we're waiting for him, some of my thoughts on this. I hate to see this play out like this online, but I'm also not necessarily mad at Morris Day to air it out like that. That sometimes may or may not be the best option to do, but I'm trying to look through it from his point of view. He is Morris Day. He's known out here, like you said, 40 years deep. We know the time as Morris Day. Let's just keep it a buck. Of course, we know Jimmy Jam and all these other, but I'm sure if you just ask the regular person who is not a super Prince head and they just know the time from Jungle Love and the hits, their first probably inclination is to think of Morris Day. Because he was no one is going to front the time but Morris Day. And that's my opinion. Like if Morris is not involved in the time, it ain't the time. Is there ain't no way, like when Morris left during, after Purple Rain, Prince, no, you can't put the time back out with somebody else on the lead vocals. That ain't gonna work. I don't care how good they are. It's not Morris. So the time is over and it becomes the family or whatever. But to me, just in terms of what we think of the time, we think of Morris Day. That's it. You can't have Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Jesse, Monty, and Jelly Bean up there and call it the time if Morris ain't up there. That ain't happening. The audience is here like, nah, bro, that ain't it. So I can see why Morris is like, and I'm making assumptions. It's like, how dare y'all come at me like this? Like I'm part of the reason. I didn't say, I'm part, and you can put these parts in certain levels, the reason that this thing popped off like it did. Like he could have an argument to be like, y'all wouldn't even be here if I wasn't involved, from the work where I've contributed to this. You wouldn't even be over this estate. And I don't remember none of y'all in the studio writing no jams, coming up with nothing in the movies. So I'm sure there's probably a lot of, how dare you come at me like this? Where I don't know if if it was like how they sort of wrote some of these other letters, there is no prior discussion. It's just coming with the bam, coming with the hammer. No, we're stopping the game. You got to do it this way. Now, for somebody that's not really put in a lot of work, you play your position. But if you're going to come at one of the top dogs in this thing, and I think Morris Day is, if not the best, if not the most known protege artist of Prince, you don't come at him goofy, kind of like that. You can't give him the same sort of cease and desist you gave the guys who are doing a podcast or selling Prince t-shirts or something. You know what I mean? Like, you don't come at Morris. Like, so I could understand why he's probably like, really? And then, again, what he means culturally to all of this. You take Morris Day out of Purple Rain. Is Purple Rain still popping? No. It was one of the shining stars out of that. And just over the years, all the stuff that he's known for and done with this. So I can imagine where he's probably like, it was probably an offensive thing. And, looking at this is how he eats. He ain't putting out music. I mean, he is putting out music. Let me be clear. He's got a new song. Shout out. He's got a song with Big Daddy Kane. If you would have told me back in the years Morris and Big Daddy Kane was going to be together, man, I would have threw money at him. I love that they're doing it now. So he's got music out there, but it ain't like he's not dropping albums and sitting on the top of the charts. He on the road. He been on the road. That's how they eat. That's their legacy. So I'm not saying that the estate doesn't have a case to be able to say, yo, you need to be, we own this, so you got to break. I get that. But I just think you have to, just like anything else, you got to come at people with the proper respects, and that who you're dealing with, you may have to readjust how you approach certain people because, he's a boss, or he's a big dog in this. We can't just come goof, we can't treat him just like some fan off the street. And when you're not a part of that world, you're the bankers or you're the people in charge of the state. Of course, the people who are part of the legacy that you now own, they're going to look at you crazy if you just coming at them and treating them and making them feel like they ain't shit. If that's the impression that they may get. So I can understand the frustration that Morris Day would have over this, and which would be like, maybe he felt like, what, the best move for me is let me go ahead and use social media and get the word out. That may give him some influence because, of course, a lot of the fan base is going to ride for Morris Day. If, you're just getting his opinion of the situation, you're like, nah, y'all can't do Morris like that. And again, to me, it goes back to, I think Ampu's back, it goes back to understanding what you own and reading the room, goddammit. Like, if anybody who really knew about just an inkling of basic Prince stuff would know, like, okay, yeah, we see Morris is over there doing this thing. Who do we know? Okay, we can't just come at him crazy. Like, if word of this gets out, that doesn't help the product. And if all you really care about is the value of the product, wouldn't you want to make sure that the public perception is always going to be on your side so you can make more money of this thing you're trying to sell and that you now own? That would just like basic common sense for any sort of person who owns something that's trying to sell it to somebody. Like, we don't want to make moves behind the scenes that if it ever came out, it would go against what are the core values of the product that we have. So I just think they have to understand there's a legal right and you're absolutely correct and all that good stuff. But there's also, you have to have a little bit of finesse about you, a little bit of game about you in terms of how you handle these high profile people that it could turn against you and it doesn't benefit anybody at that point.
You hit it right on the head. The attorneys, I forget the name of the firm, but they are not dealing with any type of finesse or skill with people to do this. It did not need to go this way. Especially with Morris. They owed him some respect and they could have done this a whole lot easier. And now it's what it is.
Yep. And Ampu, are you back?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Sorry.
Cut out. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. Again, I guess I'm going to be reiterating some of the things that you guys have said. Is that what is the benefit of what they're doing? How much do they really think they're going to get off of Morris paying some type of fee to use the name? And further, what they're going to get out of him is really going to be more than the backlash that prior to this could have seen, and now that they are seeing. I get it. It's a business. And we all have heard the stories of how Prince got down with the family and, you know, the original seven and things like that. But at the end of the day, how are you going to make this move that now makes a lot of the Purple family feel alienated and even worse, pissed off at the Prince estate? So where's the benefit from this? I mean, we can all sit here and you know, talk about how, you know, the back and forth of things that we've heard, things that even Morris has said about his relationship with Prince, but, you know, he's gone now. So in my opinion, it absolutely behooves the estate to have as many people that were connected to Prince, that are pushing out his legacy, that are talking it up. So ultimately, it leads to people traveling to Paisley Park and spending that money and buying the albums as they go out and the collector stuff. So I just don't get it. I really don't.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Mark. You going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, again, following up what Ant said, at the end of the day, this is business. And this is bad for business. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Just like when they did the first time album reissue and they didn't include Morris initially. Come on, man. This is a business move. You want to move units? You invite and involve the people who were there. Morris was fucking there. And now with this thing, come on, man. We got to do better than this.
Now let me just push back from the other side, just because I know I'm going to see this in the comments. Or are they going to say, well, you know, maybe Morris and them asking for too much money, or don't want to spend any money, or maybe like when they want to ask these people to be involved in these projects, they want to come in on some prima donna, you know, I need this amount of money, blah, blah, blah. That type of thing. Or Morris shouldn't be trying to ride off Morris shouldn't be riding the coattails of Prince. Like, let it go. Now, I don't agree with this. I'm just saying, like, these are some of the things that people I see out there saying about that.
Okay. Well, the first part is, if Morris is asking for too much, okay, fine. What does that have to do with them saying, oh, pay us to use the name? And secondly, Morris is the one that's on the record singing them songs.
Yep.
That'd be like trying to tell Whitney or Aretha or Rihanna or Beyonce, no, you can't sing those songs that somebody else wrote unless you break bread on something. Like, come on. What are you talking about?
Right. Well, it's kind of like, too, when we see this a little bit with New Edition, you know, a couple of the other band members, I believe, bought the name or the trademark New Edition, and sort of not allowing the other band members to go out on the road.
That was foul as hell. That was foul. Especially Johnny Gill. Come on, bro.
Rubbed you the right way. But anyway.
Well, I think it's like this. What Morris wanted to do initially was register Morris Day and a Time as a trademark. And that's what got this whole thing started. You know, and what Morris could have done is said, you know, let me find out what's the story with the actual usage of the name, what I can and can't do, what I need to license or something. This could have been resolved with a couple of phone calls from day one.
Yeah. And, you know, if we go, and I said this on Facebook, you know, I said the estate is on that 1999 tour, Prince Energy, because back then, as a young Prince, you know, he was really going at the time, like trying to hold him back from performing certain nights. And, you know, there's a lot of tension on the stage and all that kind of stuff. But brothers grow up and evolve and learn different things. And Morris will tell you it's in the book, but when you read his book or you listen to a lot of the interviews, they've had the come-togethers, you know, Graffiti Bridge and doing different shows. And then they've had, you know, the original Seven situation. But even in one of Prince's last interviews, if I'm not mistaken, he talks about him and Morris, Prince does, and like he was mentioning Morris's kids or something, and like, man, maybe we'll get together at some point later, and it'd be the kids that, you know, are sort of the front of this situation or a part of this. But, you know, we came back and made magic back then, and we'll probably do that again later. So he was even talking, you know, big up in Morris in some of the last interviews he did. And at the end of the day, I like to look at them brothers as musical brothers. Like they came in together. You know, there's other people, obviously many people that was involved, but what they did together is phenomenal. Like, it's legendary. It's why Morris is still getting down to this day, as he should. And why Prince is deeply a part of that. He's a co-creator of that as well. But at the same point, you know, this is a business, and Prince understood it was a business back then in 82, right? When I guess he had more signing contracts. So it is what it is. It's always been things going back and forth with those cats. But I think the thing is now that's probably just something that we all got to realize is when you're dealing with your peoples back in the day and you just kind of more focused on what you're doing and the work y'all are doing and this whole movement that you got together, there's going to be an aspect of there's going to be some underlying business that needs to be handled. And when one person in that clique has advisors and is understanding the legal ramifications of the situation and the rest of the cats kind of either they don't or they're at a disadvantage of that, you got to be aware of that. Like, that's your man in them. But as your man is starting to rise and he got other people in his ear giving him game and stuff, he may be in a position that you're not, and he's got information. Now, sometimes your man is going to hip you to the game and be like, yo, man, let me make sure y'all straight too, because this thing could blow up and whoopie whoop whoop whoop. Or your man could be like, hey, I'm going to protect myself and go ahead and sign this, man. We're going to be good, but just go ahead and sign this real quick because they said we got to have a thing on paper. Yeah, you know, they'd be like, yeah, let's get back to the beats. And you just go, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to get my money. Okay, cool. You know, I don't know if you have a lawyer or something when you sign it. There's that happens in the music game too. Prince talks about that in his last release, right? Running Game. He sort of puts a more sort of almost like a racial connotation on it, but take the racial part out of it. Cats in the music business rerunning game. If we keep it a buck, even early Prince could have been running a little bit of game. Not to say there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just if I know something and you don't, I'm gonna use this knowledge that I have to my advantage. Let me get you to sign up on this so I can have ownership of this. That's your man though, and y'all doing your thing. As you get older and your man and them peoples ain't involved no more, maybe their underlying business wasn't necessarily being handled as much as they may have thought. Now, what you can guarantee yourself is if y'all do something that is big on a high level, there's going to be other people outside of y'all's thing that's ready to jump in and get that back and to get ownership and to get involved. And so in this type of situation, now the bankers and the people that control that estate, they're trying to value what they got. How can we get more money? We own this. We ain't letting nan penny go by the wayside. So shoot them cease and desists out, and we don't care where they go. They just shooting. You know how it is? They say, man, that dude crazy. He just run up on the block and just blasting. He not even looking to see if he got the people. That's how they doing. They just blasting. They don't. Morris, who? Okay, but where my money at? I don't give a fuck about none of that. They on that F you pay me. So then when Morris would get something like that, that's what I'm saying. We always got to remember, like, as much as we be cool and it was kind of buddy and it was an understanding, the world on that level don't work like that. They work on a business level and what's written on paper. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And unfortunately, or fortunately, contracts was signed back in the day. There's a new sheriff in town. They want their money. It's just like The Wire or something. Yeah, I understand you was getting the G-Pack for that much, and that was your understanding. Well, that motherfucker, he ain't here no more. These my streets. Everybody gonna pay.
Oh, you went Marlo on him. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everybody gonna pay. I don't care what and then when when the rest of the consumers and the block found out, oh man, you dissing Morris and them's crew, they used to run them. They always was good. Oh, okay. Well, then the Connect got to come out and be like, okay, well, what had happened was, we respect their blocks. We always respect their blocks. We're gonna make sure the street eats. We just got to come to the table and have an understanding so that everybody can get that. Now you got to come out and do that, and that's kind of what they're doing. And hopefully they can, like as everybody said, just can come to some sort of agreement so that they can get down. On one side, Morris could play the role like, maybe I'm gonna keep pushing back, and I'm gonna blast strong and be like, I'm gonna keep keep it in the streets. So it has to be played in the streets. That's an angle we see now with social media, which you didn't get to see that back in the day. If them cats would have signed them jerk contracts and got dicked, oh well, you would have never heard their story. Now you can hear the other side. You've seen the last couple of weeks, a lot of artists then came out blasting the record contracts that they got. They going at Atlanta records heavy these days. But now you can really see it. Of course, Prince did the same thing back in his slave days, right? He made a whole second career based off of that. So I can't be mad at Morris if he's doing the same thing. It's just all, and I'm gonna stop talking. It's rather ironic or funny or sad that Prince had to do that. And now all of that fight at the end of the day, it's the bankers and the people that was with Prince. Now, at least Morris, he's doing that.
So with your Wire reference, it's like we got the Greeks telling the Barksdale crew, look, y'all got to eat still. Well, they'll figure it out.
Right, but we need to cut up all this. But we need to cut because this is our city, and that's just your.
We
block.
Gonna get a taste. Oh, yeah,
we want to taste
a taste.
Yeah, we want to taste all. We don't give a damn. So,
and I don't think it was anything like. I don't think the estate is coming from the position of we want money. I think it's really more of a position of look, we own this, intellectual property. You can't register it in your name, and that's really all there is to it. And I'm sure they'll work out a licensing long-term deal and keep the thing moving. Because again, at the end of the day, we're all businessmen. And I don't know who said this, but I think of Michael Dean when I hear this. It's like, look, we can do this like gentlemen. We can get into some gangster shit.
That's from the Mac. That's from the Mac. Shout out to Goldie.
So let's do this shit like gentlemen and resolve it.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I love Morris Day. Yeah, I love Morris Day, man. I grew up on that. I still listen to it to this day. He's dope, man.
You can't picture Morris Day without saying that what time was the cover. No one can front that man.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah, man. It is what it is. That's who it's going to be. So that's, at the end of the day, again, I'm just going to speak on the Prince podcast. See, I just called it the Prince. I actually, technically, I'm not supposed to call it the Prince podcast. The podcast on Prince, yeah, we'll call it that. But the people know what it is, so I ain't tripping.
Exactly.
I'm not tripping at all. If I need to make you feel good, you got it. You're right. It's just sometimes I have to talk to some of my younger people, and they, they get into and they could be absolutely right. I'm saying, you know what? You are. It's gonna be okay. You got that. I'm gonna let you go on and have that. Salute to you. It don't change what I'm doing. Same with Morris Day. Now I can understand why him, again, you wanted to say Morris Day and the time, you want to have that on there. But at the end of the day, be very clear, Morris. Brother, when we see your name, we already know what it is.
We know what the deal is. Yeah.
Oh, Morris is coming to town. It could say Morris Day. In our brain, it says the time. You don't even have to say, it's the same thing to me. It's just like in a current day when what's that show, Power? And there's the new version with Tommy on it. I call that show Tommy.
Yep.
I think the show is called something else, if I'm not mistaken.
It's called Power Book 3 or 4, Force. Yeah.
Force. Yeah, I've never called it Force. When I see that word, I don't even see that word. I see old boys. Oh, this Tommy show. Tommy's coming on. It's the same thing. So to me, it's like, Morris Day's coming to. Oh yeah, that's the time. Like I don't even. Now I know Jimmy Jam and Jelly and them. I mean, and Jesse not gonna be. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole other ball.
But we already know. I mean, you solid out here. You know, like you said, 40 years. Man, please, we already know.
And another thing that, because I saw it a couple of days, and I'm looking at the Instagram post. Props to the culture holding
absolutely
Morris Day down, because I'm on the post and I'm seeing MVP from the WWE responded. I'm seeing Tariq Nasheed. I'm seeing DJ Premier, Fred Wreck, Dallas Austin, all Jamie Foxx, speaking up and speaking out for him. So salute to that.
Yeah. That's why I said the state has to be careful. You're selling a product, but you're trying to sell it to us. So you don't want to do things that we're going to back Morris off the top. We don't even know the whole situation. And even we didn't know the whole situation. When they said he's not entirely correct or whatever, accurate, that may be true. But off the top, we're still at first going to ride for Morris because he done put in the work and the trust is there. We don't know you.
And
there's no name. There's no name associated. It just says the estate. But we know Prince ain't there. So we just in our mind like, nah, that's. And I'm not gonna say what. So we don't know who that is, but we have a trust of Morris. So when he come on and say something, we gonna want to ride for him until we get other information. And like Big Sexy said, it's not a good look. Again, it's just not a good look for your product. Because I know that's how you see it. So if you want it to be very valuable, you have to understand nuance and how you're dealing with certain people. And you got to think about how is this going to play in the public? Because that may be the only advantage that somebody like Morris Day has in a situation like this is to use social media. Because I say, oh, well, y'all don't even want to have a conversation. You don't really want to have a conversation with me? Cool. Go ahead and give them that. Go ahead and use the social media blasting kit 101. That's a bargaining tool now. And you know what I mean? So you have to be cognizant of that. And yeah, man, I hope they work it out. I mean, because if it don't, then that would mean we probably would never see Morris at Paisley no more. And that's a goddamn shame. Just like you never get to see Jill Jones at Paisley Park anymore. It's a goddamn shame. Or Apollonia for that matter. I'm not speaking that I know all the particulars of the situation. I'm just saying, as a fan, I don't really care what the situations are. I'm a fan of Prince and what's involved in that. So if I know these people cannot be a part of this thing, it's a goddamn shame.
They are all part of the legacy. They need to be there.
Right.
They need to be included, definitely.
On all sides, the estate and the artists should be able to come together and figure it out for the benefit of their product and what they want us to understand. The fans, we're always going to hold up Prince's legacy. That's unspoken. Whatever they do, they ain't gonna stop us from talking about Prince and celebrating the music and all that. We were doing that anyway. We was doing that before the Paisley Park tours existed, and we're gonna continue to do it after. But we would just want to make sure that at least y'all got the keys to the castle. Y'all care about it as much as we do, and it's not all just a business to the point where we don't get to see these things come together.
Let me turn the clock back into the 70s briefly. A certain group was told by a label that you guys can't write your own stuff and we don't need to renew your contract. That certain group left. And the label said, you know what, we're keeping your name though. That certain group went ahead and did their thing anyway. That group, yeah, the Jacksons. We all know who they are. Just because Barry was petty and kept Jackson 5, but we know who they are. The same thing happens here. We all know who Morris at the time is.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, man. Well, shoot, that's all that can be said on it. We want to hear what you guys think about this in them comment streets. What say you? I mean, I've been seeing people talking about, well, I'm boycotting.
Yeah.
Listen,
Dial it back.
if they come out next week and be like, coming soon, the special edition parade, the same, well, what happened was where the pre-order, like, stop it. I mean, listen, if that's the way, I'm not mad at it, but I want to see it. But I already know when they say such and such about to come out, I'll be like, what time is it? It's time to order. I don't know what you're doing. Good luck. But I'm just joking. But let's just wait and see. But as fans, we want to let all of them know. And this hopefully and tweet this out. Hashtag get it together. Prince family, get it together. That's all I'm just saying from the fans' perspective. I don't know all sides. There's a truth somewhere in the middle. But at the end of the day, just get it together. That's it. We want to enjoy this stuff, man. We want to see it all come together. This is what we've been waiting for. We're still here. They got the keys to the castle. So, as the consumer you're trying to reach, in my opinion, I just say, hey, hashtag, man, get it together. Because I'm ready to spend bread, and I'm willing to experience and enjoy it and not feel guilty or know that, hey, man, this is supporting a good thing and I'm getting something good back. So just get it together.
I don't know what the numbers were for the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe, but I'm sure that sold pretty well. Okay. And if they do something like that with, the time set, and I know, well, we Prince heads know, there is at least one unreleased Time song that's out there. I believe it was called Murph Drag. So I'm sure there could be others too. We don't know.
Oh yeah, well, if you're talking about that era, yeah, there was a number of songs on. There was a whole album.
Let's get that stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if nothing else, just that these guys can eat and go out there and do their thing. They worked hard for it. They're a part of it. And like I said, whatever they have to do to figure it out, I hope they can do it. And I hope they do it is fair enough for both sides.
Exactly. Let's just be fair and equitable here. And, Morris wants to play. People want to see him play. Let him play. Let him do his thing. That's who he is. That's what he does.
And at the end of the day, yeah, like I said, man, ain't nobody stopping Morris Day. He's a part of the culture, and we're not gonna never let him fall off. So I don't care whatever they talking about. We understand. We know what it is. And I will also say, the last thing I'll say is, and for any of these artists, proteges or whatever, and they feel like they're back against the wall, yeah, air their ass out.
Gotta do.
You have to, think about it and make understand this is chess. So deal with the consequences of your actions. But yeah, if that's what you have to do, do it. Because listen, they got lawyers on speed dial. They got the budget. So I don't know. Sometimes we don't have the budget that the other side do, but you do have other things that you can use at your disposal. So do what you got to do. With that said, we about to get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm about to say. Work it like a job. We'll see you next time. Peace.